Peace. Bronzebird here with another video. Before I begin, like and subscribe. Thank you. So it's funny. It's like everywhere you turn before the grand new year, in my case, because I believe that the new year starts in March, especially a time like February, which is quote unquote Black History Month, for lack of a better term, which I always incessantly say online and in real life. I don't believe in Black History Month. And they give you the shortest month of the year, and it was probably more than likely a PSYOP mission. But anyway, there's always something that happens. There's always some crazy event which involves some type of racist rhetoric. I mean, you just seen it with Joe Rogan, and then Whoopi Goldberg spoke out of order about the so-called Jews and all these different things like that. And so there's a lot of uproar that's going on. Last month it was about Rihanna and the whole entire thing that happened with the posting on Martin Luther King Day and this, that, and the third. I mean, it goes all over the place, family. So I look deep into this. I look into the whole entire thing with Joe Biden and about this whole entire thing he's trying now about racial equality, like equity, excuse me. And so it's really a telltale sign about what's going on in our nation, what's going on in this demonic world, this whole entire thing that's happening with individuals every single day. And that the administration would dare to pull something like this, especially towards so-called minorities, especially so-called African Americans and minorities alike. That would include Hispanics as well, Latinos, so-called. So apparently Joe Biden administration wants to send out crack pipes and drugs to to decrease infections and help out. And it's like, how does it help out with the fact of the matter you have real life people who have died over the overdoses, and at such a critical time like this, experiencing one of the craziest events because of the pandemic? How does this go ahead and release the problem that a lot of people have when it comes to drugs? And so I would give my thoughts on it a little bit more after I play this video, and probably something I'll read so we can talk about it in depth. So peep.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
I seek and ask consent to address House 1 minute and rise and extend remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. In 2021, U.S. drug overdoses due to fentanyl skyrocketed and is now reported to be the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 45. The leading cause of deaths for Americans between 18 and 45 is imported fentanyl.
And opioid seems to be one of the drugs also that's taken shape in America, especially a report that I've been seeing for a while that the leading cause by race, so-called white people, is usually suffering the most from opioid and all those type of drugs. But of course, then it's still that crack cocaine problem since the 1980s with so-called Black people.
Mostly coming across our open southern border. Instead of combating this epidemic by prosecuting drug traffickers or banning molecularly altered fentanyl substances, the Biden administration is making America's drug problem worse by actually putting crack pipes distributed into the hands of users.
And when you go, and the thing about it is that, especially the good old Democrats, Joe Biden, this is the only thing that comes to mind while he's saying this. The problem is that it's not dealing with the problem. It's making it worse. It's accelerating the problem. A lot of people have sat there and came forward because they said Joe Biden's son had came forward and said that he would use crack and cocaine, which that doesn't justify the means on why Joe Biden would do that. It's not for the will of his son. I disagree with that, but I mean, that's a minor problem into what we have to discuss about this whole entire program and the $3 million grant that they want to do. I mean, honestly, where I'm from, I know plenty of places and hot spots where they have a lot of drug dealers and they really need some help. And the fact of the matter is, if you go around the country, you hear places like in California and LA, how they have Skid Row. You know what I mean? They have those places out there. And for them to go ahead and use this, I'll let it play.
Crack pipes distributed by the US government into the hands of drug users. Yes, this has been already modeled in San Francisco, so I guess we want to do the Californication of the rest of the country with these crazy ideas coming from the Biden administration. Boy, we've gone from just don't do it to, hey, just hand it all out. It's unbelievable that this is a policy in the time of drug problems in this country skyrocketing, harm coming to people, and the Biden administration wants to hand out free crack pipes in the name, I guess, of
The
racial
gentleman's time has
equity.
expired.
Unbelievable.
And I definitely will say that he has a point. um, my honest opinion on it is that it harkens back into how it was in the 1980s. And then, of course, they have a lot of these shows that illustrate the drug trade and all these origins and stuff like that. I know a lot of people was into that show Snowfall, which is something I haven't watched yet. But just getting into this whole entire perspective, a lot of people have caught on to the fact of the matter that America was involved in some type of way with the drug trade and that they was creating all these different frontiers and basically setting people up to be in jail or go ahead and kill each other off of these drugs. And I remember, looking at documentaries about the 1980s and about how Florida was a big hot spot when it came to cocaine. And then, of course, the whole entire thing when it spread out into the communities and so-called Black people usually always say about how crack was dropped off in the hood and became this whole entire money-making scheme because the unemployment was a problem and so-called Black men couldn't be able to get jobs. And when you think about the era of this, with the pandemic again, and still about how unemployment is still affecting so-called Black men specifically. I mean, goddamn, where do we go? I mean, in my honest opinion, it's a deep layer into this. I will be honest to say I don't know. But of course, when you're dealing with the government, you have an understanding like I have an understanding. Yes, it comes with a flaw. This is not for helping the American people. It's only supposed to create a detriment off of it. I don't believe for 1 second that they're doing this to help out people. Because why would you want to assist someone in going ahead and doing drugs and then not even getting the proper treatment of doing overdoses? You understand? Like people literally dying from overdoses on these drugs, especially when it comes to crack. Something about the devil is being let in America. I'll tell you that right now. But just to share this story, just so we can get a frontal view about what's going on as well. I have an article I'm going to read to you guys so you guys can get a frontal view about what's going on. So check this out. There he is. So it says Biden administration funds programs to hand out crack pipes. Washington, to limit infections among drug users, which, what do you mean by infections? I mean, honestly, it still would have that type of thing where they're going to get infections regardless, unless he's really talking about HIV or something like that, or some other diseases because of the usage of cracks. But I mean, you're not going to stop people from sharing needles and all these different things. They're going to do what they want to do. And one of the things that they're setting up in New York is that they're having these little centers or these spaces where someone can go ahead and use drugs peacefully. It's crazy what happens in these democratic run cities. And I mean, pretty much usually a lot of these inner cities is ran democratically anyway. But anyway, the Biden administration is creating a $30 million grant program for nonprofits to buy crack pipes. It will provide funds to local governments and nonprofits to distribute clean pipes to help make drug use safer for addicts, according to Newsweek. The program is overseen by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and a spokesperson said that it will supply smoking kits for users to smoke illicit substances such as crystal methamphetamine and crack cocaine. The kits reportedly aim to reduce the risk of infections for people who smoke these substances with glass pipes. Biden's executive order, issued January 20th, 2021, said that the federal government should pursue a comprehensive approach to advancing equity for all, including people of color and others who have been historically underserved, marginalized, and adversely affected by persistent poverty and inequality. Selling or distributing drug paraphernalia is against federal law unless authorized by the government, which honestly, I mean, it's weird because even if you understand a lot of these ex-drug dealers, you know, especially the brother that had passed away a couple of months ago because he got set up in Harlem, you know what I'm talking about. You know, they sat there and said he was an informant. And about how a lot of these drug dealers are working with the government anyway. They're just going ahead and getting money the best way they know how. And the government is sponsoring it. Because if they weren't sponsoring it, even off the stint that they started to understand that these brothers is out here selling drugs, they would have locked their ass up automatically. So why did they have they run as long as they did? Funding for the program comes from Democrats' American Rescue Plan. Honestly speaking, family, in my honest opinion, it's smoking mirrors when having this conversation. And something's going on between the Congress, the government, Biden, and this, that, and the third. I mean, I don't know why he's using race as a way to kind of help this situation out. I don't know if it's one of those sort of things he's like, you know, things is going down in shambles and I'm taking you Negroes with me. Like I said, man, I mean, I don't really believe in the whole political field anyway, but why did you vote for Biden? What did you believe in Biden that Biden was going to do? You thought because he had Kamala Harris and because you had that so-called black woman going ahead and doing the inauguration little poetry thing that it was going to help out your people? I mean, it's like this country is going down in flames and it's like hell in a handbasket. And my whole entire thing is the right thing to do would be create resources where they can have jobs or they can have a steady string of income by enlisting them in programs like drugs for coding or something like that so they could go ahead and get involved in the fourth industrial revolution and do something beneficial where drug sales and all these different things can go down. But drugs has always been an efficient problem in America. And I think the government has always made it that way because they don't care about American citizens at all. Their whole entire thing is that they know that they're funding these drug programs anyway and funding the fact of the matter that they're doing drug trafficking behind closed doors. That's just my opinion. So they're pretty much now on the brink of saying, you know what, screw it. Let's just give them what they want. You know, they're going to go ahead and die off anyway, or they're going to be able to still, you know, generate some income off of our whole sins. So let's go ahead and let them have it. That's just my honest opinion on that. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Peace.